So the Credit Suisse Wealth Report is now very, very well established. And it's the most comprehensive assessment of wealth worldwide. We look at the wealth of 4.7 billion adults, pretty much all the adults in the world. And we look at all components of wealth, financial wealth, property, we subtract debt, and we measure all of this in dollars. So it gives us a very, very good assessment of people's wealth, their balance sheet, and then from that we can deduce where they're going to consume and invest. So the key development in the latest Credit Suisse Wealth Report is that world wealth has risen to $317 trillion. And that's a $14 trillion rise on last year. About $6 trillion of that comes from the US. Financial markets have been very strong. In Europe, there's stability in the economy, so we've seen a wealth increase of $4 trillion across the EU, and then about $2.3 trillion increase in wealth in China. We've seen also an increase in the number of millionaires. And then within the report, we look at a number of underlying trends, very importantly, gender and women in wealth, inequality, and also rising wealth in Asia. So in terms of individual countries, lots of small emerging countries, be it in North Africa, in Eastern Europe, have seen the biggest percentage point increases in wealth. And that's got a lot to do with things like currency volatility, recovery from difficult economic circumstances. In terms of the broad regions, we've seen wealth rise across the board. The US has been to the fore. So one of the key metrics in the wealth report is the wealth pyramid. At the top of the wealth pyramid, you have very wealthy people. There's about 42 million people worldwide who have around about 45% of world wealth. Most of them are in developed countries, but an increasing number in countries like China. And then at the bottom of the wealth pyramid, you've got about 63% of the world population who have a small proportion of world wealth, but these are in fast-growing economies and fast-growing property markets. And that's actually where you get some of the really interesting consumer trends and also trends in property markets. So future world wealth, if we look out 5 years, which I think is a reasonable time period, we see world wealth rising to close to $400 trillion. That's a 26% increase, which again is vast. And there's a number, I think, of interesting sub-trends behind this. When we started off looking at wealth, and you go back to the year 2000, China had only 3% of world wealth. Now it's got 16%. Emerging markets as a whole in the year 2000 had 10% of world wealth. Today they've got 24% of all world household wealth. And in 5 years' time, they'll have about 27%. So Asia, in particular within emerging markets, is really on the rise.